Hello adventurers and welcome back to my channel. Today we are in Topeka, Kansas at the EVEL Knievel Museum. I can't wait, so let's roll the intro and go be a daredevil. Okay, we're going to start off this adventure with a map. This map says that there are 2 floors, and so we have a lot of sightseeing to do in a very limited amount of time. This is a quote to live by right here. A man can fall many times, but he is never a failure until he refuses to get up. Now in this first hall right here, all down this wall, we find a basic timeline that gives us some ideas as to what happened and when. And it's quite impressive. Look at this. His net worth by the mid-70s, he had Learjets and coupes, his own helicopter, a vault full of cash, a 58-foot yacht. So as you can see here, this is going to be a really cool museum, really different. And if you don't know who EVEL Knievel is, you're going to learn today. EVEL Knievel was quite the thrill seeker, quite the amazing spectacle all in his own right. And that's why I definitely wanted to come here today, because places like this, with people like this, are epic. He literally lived life to the fullest. And that is what I tell you guys to do. So let's move inside and see what's next. Now this section right here is important because this guy made so much of this possible. This is Lathan McKay, and he was a curator, producer, actor, writer, and entrepreneur from the great state of Texas. He lived in Austin. And in here you'll find several different items and some really familiar faces, like that's Johnny Knoxville right there. We have Tony Hawk. As we move down right here, you see even more of them. Wow, there's Kid Rock, even Meryl Streep. And this quote right here, EVEL Knievel is the fountain of youth. I don't disagree. Like I said, this guy pretty much is the epitome of live life to the fullest. Now this is about the historic Harley-Davidson of Topeka, Kansas. This dealership has been around since 1926, and they helped curate this museum along with Lathan McKay. There are some really cool stories in here, guys, that relate to this, and it kind of makes sense that this became the home right here in Topeka after seeing this. Now I have to say, whenever I first saw this was in Topeka, Kansas, I was a little confused. I didn't understand why or how. But this little section right here completely explains the history behind it, and mind blown, so many facts. Here we have the history of a young Bobby Knievel who later became EVEL Knievel. He actually resided in Butte, Montana as a child and was raised by his grandparents. So there's some really cute little relics here of him, and yes, I realize that he's an action adventure guy and I called him cute, but look at this little face. And this was perhaps one of our favorites right here. This is one of his actual drawings and a letter to his mother. So being raised by his grandparents, his life was a little bit different there in Butte, Montana than what it ended up being later in life. We found out he went to his first thrill show at the age of 15, and that inspired him completely to change his world. Here's a little bit more though about what led him to be EVEL Knievel that we all know.
Bob Knievel dropped out of high school in Butte, Montana after his sophomore year in 1954, took a job in the copper mines. He was fired though when he made the earth mover to a motorcycle type wheelie and drove it into Butte's main power line, leaving the city without electricity for several hours.
So it all began with a wheelie pop after a thrill show a few years later, and go figure, it changed the world. Now we all know EVEL Knievel to be the daredevil who jumped crazy things and did some of the biggest stunts in the world. A lot can change in just a very short amount of time. But before that happened, these were a few of the other photos that were collected from him around the time just after he dropped out. And wait, this looks like it's the beginning of the end right here. Yep. Do you see what this says? He's going to jump in the world. Wow. Evel Knievel in front of his motorcycle shop in Moses Lake, Washington. He used this dealership as a way to promote his upcoming jumps. Now, he also served in the Army and was a portion of a semi-pro hockey team, which is crazy stuff that we never hear about. So these images are all of a group that was called Evel Knievel and his motorcycle daredevils. This group debuted at the National Date Festival in Indio, California for the first time, January 23rd, 1966. This is one of my favorites down here. It shows the beginning all the way to the end over here. Another powerful quote: the most important thing in life is, if you have a dream, I mean a real good dream, follow it. I agree. And this is him at age 27. Now right here we're seeing a bike, a very interesting bike. This is a replica of the 1966 Honda CL305 Scrambler that actually was one that he did his first jump with. And that first jump was done in 1965 over a box of rattlesnakes. Now, if you've seen my videos previously, you know I don't like snakes whatsoever, but these, okay, that's fine. If they would have had the real ones, I would be freaking out right now. Here we have a 100-foot gap jump that was done at the San Francisco Civic Center in California. And it's cool because you can actually watch the jump as well as all of the lead up to it with all of the images. It's pretty cool. Here he goes. Boom. Now we go to Caesar's Palace, a place I am super familiar with, and I have actually seen this fountain right here. And this fountain is big, guys. It's not just a small thing. This is a big fountain. Okay, notice here that it did not end well with this jump. He actually crashed and it created a lot of damage. Look at this. He fractured a hip, broke a wrist, an ankle, another ankle, a femur, a broken pelvis. He got a concussion. And this was the crash that actually made him famous. And you can literally watch all of the news coverage in this particular display and all of the brutal myths in its entirety. It's kind of crazy. Now, fun fact, after this happened, one of his friends actually lost his job. And the reason that he did was because he wanted to insure him on these jumps. And he sold him a policy that was not cancelable. And they did not like that. Not one little bit. So his friend lost his job. I mean, that's what you get for being friends with a daredevil, I guess. This motorcycle that we're seeing now represents the same year and model as Evel's Caesar's Palace wheelie bike. This is the 1967 Triumph T120 TT Special 650cc motor. Look at this. So this is what we would have seen jumping over that Caesar's Palace fountain right there. Here we have the Yakima Speedway in Washington again, and another crash. This time he broke a collarbone. That's one of the things about Evel Knievel is it wasn't always necessarily just his successful jumps which made him famous. It was his unrelenting spirit to try and try again and put on a show that people continue to support. Here is another one, and this one was in Pocono, where he broke his shoulder, his vertebra, and his hand. My life has been being a daredevil. I'm Evel Knievel, I am a daredevil. And here he is, and nobody can take that away from him whatsoever. This right here is the 1969 Laverda American Eagle S Model 750, and it was originally sold under the American Eagle brand. Now this one is a little different, and he had a matching jacket with a rabbit's foot for this one. Now here we have the Astrodome. As many know, the Astrodome is no more, but they did have some epic things happen there, this being one of them. He jumped 13 cars in the Astrodome, and actually they recorded record attendance there. Another success, another jump, 19 cars this time, and this was at NASCAR's Miller High Life 500. And also, this happened to be an area for which they filmed a movie that was starred in by George Hamilton. Right here in Kansas, at the state fair, he jumped 10 Kenworth semis, and it was the largest crowd recorded in Kansas State Fair history. Now this is the 1970 Harley-Davidson XR750 Ironhead, and this was used from 1970 to 1977 during the height of his career. Look at this. This is one of the parachutes that was used. It was actually sponsored by Olympia Beer, and you can see it right here. That's really cool. Of course, to follow that up, we have lots of Olympia Beer sponsored gear right here in this case. These pieces are amazing, guys. These aren't things that you can just find everywhere, so being able to see them here is pretty epic. In Los Angeles Coliseum, he jumped 50 stacked cars. Look at this, 50 stacked cars. Oh my goodness. And he does it with such ease there. That was a successful jump. In Great Lakes Dragway, he managed to jump 10 Mack trucks, and he did it in such a fashion that brought in all the bells and whistles. They had a helicopter, they had semis, they had all of this craziness. And then look at this. The helicopter jet engine was purchased from a drag racer. And what? In 1972, Harley-Davidson updated their XR750 engine with a new alloy head, which made the bike lighter and provided an increased performance. However, EVEL crashed the bike on the very first practice. Wow. And EVEL says here, I guess you could say I'm a religious man. If you want to know what I did before a jump, I prayed. In London, if you've never heard of Wembley Stadium, this is one of the massive, huge places that you will find, probably one of the largest in the world. And he actually crashed here. And he did it in epic form before 90,000 spectators. He attempted to jump 13 London transit buses. And then following this, he announced his retirement. In fact, as you can see here, he had a concussion, a broken pelvis, a broken back, and a broken hand. I'm starting to see a trend. The hand does not stand a chance. It gets broken very frequently. Now this is a 1972 Harley-Davidson XR50 alloyed head Wimberley XR. And this one was a pretty epic find for them here in the museum. This one is so awesome. Look at this. Now before Wimberley, there were a few other things that happened. The way the museum is set up, it winds around the walls and then winds back around the walls. So here you'll find the Canadian National Exhibition, which was a success. Kings Island, Ohio, which was also a success. This is a 1972 Harley-Davidson XR750 alloy head Kings Island XR. And right here, again, you'll notice it looks very similar, but the tank, look at that detail there. And then right here, you'll also find some other things. We have Robbie's actual leathers from the Kings Island show when he was 13 years old. And right here, it's showing young Robbie. January 31st of 1977, EVEL Knievel crashed while practicing a jump over a tank of sharks in Chicago. And while he was hospitalized, because he had broken both arms, the outpouring of fan mail was insane. Everything from drawings from young children to letters from adults. There were so many letters. Over 300 were sent and cataloged. A few more jumps after he had announced his retirement but not fully retired. King Dome in Washington, the Shark Jump in Illinois, and a world tour in 1981. Okay, so 1981, I hadn't been born yet, but yet I still know about EVEL KNIEVEL, who was doing things way before me. That's the cool thing about his legacy, is it lives on, because he's kind of like this unicorn of sorts. He does all these crazy things that everybody would like to think that they're brave enough to do, but nobody really is. He's like a trailblazer, and it's cool for all of us that don't have the abilities that he did to be able to see all of these things here in this museum, because wow. Now the staging for this shark jump in Illinois where he crashed, he had 13 man-eating sharks in a 90-foot tank, and he crashed into the cameraman during the rehearsal and again announced his retirement. The world tour was his last performance on a motorcycle, and then he again announced his retirement. Here you can see some of those photos, and this is the end of that legacy. These are the world tour performance suits, that they're the actual suits that were worn by both EVEL and Robbie. Now, of course, as we're going through here, these are only some of the more notable jumps. There were lots of them, lots and lots of them that are not listed on these walls. However, there's one wall that lets us know all of the jumps, what he did, if he was successful or not, and the legacy is crazy. Starting with 1965 and going all the way to 1980, there were 168 jumps and only 19 crashes. Now you can find all of these here at the back of the museum on the first floor, and it lets you know literally everything. So, for example, there was a crash, there was a 16-car jump, where it is, and super cool. But also you can find the different bikes that he used right down here at the bottom. Now here we find a lot of different information about living on the road and being EVEL KNIEVEL. And it's pretty cool to see all of this information and how his life might have kind of played out on the road. And that's pretty cool to have that little glance inside, just to kind of know what it was like and to read the stories. But they've outdone themselves. They actually have the Mack truck. Look at this. Plates and all, right here for us to see. Look at that, guys. Butte, Montana, EVEL KNIEVEL Enterprises, all the way down. Wow. Now, as we walk down, you'll notice that he has some sponsors on here, and you can see inside the living quarters area. It's pretty epic to see this and know that as he came down the road, people would pass. This was built for an American legend, 1974. And this is where the ramps would have gone. Look at that. This is the condition of the truck whenever they acquired it right here. This was the seat, what it actually looked like. And this right here is showing the process of restoration that it took to get this thing back to the condition it would have been when EVEL was here. Now, it's crazy to think that something this iconic could have gone to basically junk because no one maintained it. But if you think about it, the things that we find awesome and relevant now might not have been so important at the time. Even though he was a trailblazer and he did so many epic things, at the time they didn't think to preserve those things. So when people come in and redo things for us now and we're able to see them, it's been a while. It's taken a lot of work. So seeing this is epic because you know that it had a lot of hard work that went into it, and then seeing the video of just how much is crazy. But one more iconic look inside. Oh, So on this side, we actually get to go and look. Up these stairs we go. Even the Evel Knievel is on the door now. That's awesome. This is what the inside of the truck cabin would have looked like at the time. Inside here is another glance at what the trailer would have looked like. We have places for his bikes, some signage. Wow, there's those ramps. Now just kind of a glance at how far this has come. This is what it started out looking like when they came across it. And they restored it to its original luster right here. Now this was all made possible by a historic Harley-Davidson restoration team that is located right here in Topeka. Yet another reason why Topeka has this amazing museum. They really wanted to take care of this legacy because it has such a rich background in the things that they believe in most. And as we go through here, tons of historic posts from all of the different jumps. It's crazy. Now this section is really cool, and I want you guys at home to pay attention. If you were recreating Evel Knievel jumps in the 70s at home and you happen to have a photo of it, you can send them in and they will immortalize you doing your Evel Knievel on the walls here at the museum. Now again, that's only from the 70s though, so if you're an 80s baby like me, it's not gonna work out for you, but if you are from the 70s, definitely send them in. And this is where they display them, right here by the stairwell. Made it to the second floor, and did you know that Evel Knievel was on Sports Illustrated? Looking kind of like this. Okay, so this next section has a bunch of different outfits that he actually wore for different things. Now, some of these are appearances, some of them are just him, but they're wild, just like he was. So this one right here was from the Donnie and Marie show. I am almost positive that Justin Timberlake tried to remake this top right here for the MTV Awards at one point, but Evel Knievel did it first. This one is potentially the most crazy. This is a hee-haw based outfit, but he was actually seen playing golf in this. It's crazy. See, there it is. This man knew how to wear a sponsor. Look at this. He has the Mac logo, he has the Chuckles logo, and then he has his own logo there. Yep. Look at this, more of the Chuckles. Like I said, he was a well-branded man. And there he is actually in the outfit. Evel Knievel was never one to stray away from showing his spirit. And right here is the Evel Knievel flag jacket. Look at this one, guys. He's a checkerboard, but it's actually pretty cool when you look at it in person. This helmet is from the Caesars debacle, where it did work out. And look at this, you can see that it is scraped way on down in there. This is exceptional, guys. So I've seen some Muhammad Ali boxing gloves before in the Smithsonian. But here is a pair of boxing gloves that have been signed by Muhammad Ali, and some information about his quote directly to Evel Knievel. And here again is another helmet from another crash. This is the Wimberley helmet. Look at this on the bottom. Color me lucky. Now guys, this is something kind of cool. So we're going to touch it and drag it over his body to a different location. So like right here we have hip. We have 2 different places that we can click now. So this is 2 times that he broke his hip. Wow, that's crazy to even say, but the man broke a lot of bones. So we're gonna hit number 1, and then it's going to pop up this information. So you can literally see a little bit about each bone that he broke and how many times he broke them. And then you can play videos if they're available and watch the actual jump. Wow, that's crazy. So you can literally go through each and every injury and spend long time here. It also does summarize some of the things that we saw below because it's going to tell you more about those individual injuries specifically instead of just the overall event. Then there's another touch screen over here that has a completely different experience. So every experience that you come in and have is going to be really cool. And I like this because a lot of museums that cover a three-dimensional character usually don't have interactive pieces like this. You have to go to something historical, and this is epic. Now this case right here is some of the many items that were branded with EVEL KNIEVEL's name. And like I said, this man knew how to brand things. He had everything from little bikes and water bottles to oil containers, it looks like. There were games. Oh wow, look at this. This is a pinball machine. I love pinball and I've never seen this machine. This is crazy. But behind me, as you see, Mom has found something extra special. This is the Plan Your Jump feature, where you get to pick out where you're jumping, what ramps you're using, what bike you're using, and how fast you're going. And from your selections, you find out if your jump would have been a success or a crash. Okay, so this is it. Mom's gonna show us how it works here.
When I jump, I get to select my outfit.
Ooh, fancy.
I like the cape. I love capes. So 20 degree, let's go. Let's do 45.
45 degree angle. That's going to be a sharp jump.
Okay, so 100 feet, 200, 180.
Mom's wanting to jump something really big, it looks like.
Let's do 120.
120 feet jump on a 45 degree angle. This is going to shoot her to space in my opinion. But now she gets to pick out her bike.
I probably need this one then.
Okay, she's going to try the Harley-Davidson Iron XR 750. Okay, go for it.
No, that may be too much power.
Okay, now she has to pick what obstacle she'll be jumping. There's a semi, some cars, a Greyhound, London buses, fountains, police cars, Shark Tank.
Let's do Shark Tank.
Mom wants to jump a Shark Tank. Okay.
Alright.
Okay, now she's ready to...
Will I make it?
I don't know, Mom. I don't know if you're going to make it over the sharks or not.
45 degree angle. That's pretty steep.
Here she goes. So let's look at this. She's got to pick her speed now. They're holding it down. And there she goes. Oh, she's doing a flip. She's fancy. Oh, but she did not make it.
I didn't fall in the sharks though.
She didn't get eaten at least.
Okay, so I have an option to try to get her to give up.
So,
in the spirit of EVEL KNIEVEL, I can't give up.
Yep, EVEL KNIEVEL
So
would not give up.
again.
There you go. Try it again. New miles per hour.
So should I go faster?
I don't know. Here we go. Oh. They just knew you weren't going to land that one. Mom, I don't think that you should be doing anything with a motorcycle anytime soon.
Hey, that was only twice. EVEL KNIEVEL did this many times and he crashed and broke bones a lot.
But you picked a 45 degree angle on your first attempt. That means you're basically going like, no.
Difficulty, challenge.
I don't think so. I think Mom just wants a really big challenge. She's gonna keep going, and I'm gonna show you guys some more of this museum. Now this right here is a 4D experience. Right now, I'm not gonna be doing this because it's not open. However, when you come, it probably will be, and you get to put on a helmet and experience a real life jump that was done here for the 4D experience. Notice all of these things that they're doing. While you're on top of this bike, you feel as though you are in the action. And then you'll be jumping toward the Kansas Capitol building right there. Now, it is said that once you're wearing this helmet back here, that it really does feel like you are on the motorcycle, being the one jumping. So if you are afraid of heights, it might not be a good idea if you have like that just phobia. I don't know though. It looks pretty epic to me. Through this door, we're going into the Snake River experience where they did the rockets. And This is actually soil, I've been told, from the actual site. What it looked like, wow. Now in this room we go far past just motorcycles themselves and into a whole new world. It's crazy that they were using rockets. Rockets, guys, not just bikes, rockets. Now in this room we're going to find out more about the different design models that they did, the trial and error, and look at this. There he is right there. Now in this section we learned that there were a lot of questions that came into play when it comes to the rocket. First of all, some people didn't think it was suitable for a human to launch themselves. And I understand why. It's a scary thought. But even the designer questioned at one point the ability for the rocket to perform as it was supposed to. And it's strange to think that this really happened. Here he is right here, and this is one of his jackets that he was spotted in during this time. Up on top here we see a parachute that was actually a portion of the rocket. This was what was supposed to bring him back down to earth safely. Evil was quoted to have said, "When the countdown got down to 3, I said, God, take care of me. Here I come," and he punched the button. And then off he went. Now the video overhead shows you the full experience of the rocket and how it failed miserably because the parachute deployed much more rapidly than it was supposed to. A lot of questions remain to this day on if he meant to pull it early, if there was a malfunction, things like that, but just the sight to see right here is insane. As we come back to this section over here, these are all of the bones that were fractured, broken and replaced, or broken multiple times. They're indicated by the little different colored dots. That's basically almost every bone. At the beginning of our trip, we noticed there were several celebrities who were in some really impeccable, amazing photos. Here's a few more. And they all have quoted why Evel Knievel was someone who vastly influenced them. And these are some of the greats, guys. Look at this. This is Tony Hawk. We have Dale Earnhardt Jr. You have Johnny Knoxville. You have Shaun White. All these are people who are doing the biggest and best in their industries. So as we wrap up our experience here at the EVEL KNIEVEL Museum, we are exiting through the Harley shop. That's a little different than our typical exit through the gift shop. I think that these little toys right here are a little bit more expensive. Yeah. So if you've enjoyed today's video, make sure that you leave a thumbs up and then also subscribe. Check out the interactive map below in the comments. If you have any other adventures that you would like to go on, you can find lots of cool stuff there. Till next time, guys. Bye.